from our perspective, he developed the Practice Pro program, and if any of you have had the opportunity to look at the website or follow through with their valuable information and checklists and things like that, it's a very proactive approach to avoid getting yourself into trouble. So that is very much appreciated, as well as the fact that LawPRO continues to be a significant sponsor for our plenary. So I will turn it over to Dan.
Thanks very much. Let me just get the technology to cooperate here. Share screen presentation. There we go. Great to have this opportunity to provide an update from LawPRO. I wish it was in person. I miss meeting with all our FOLA friends, and perhaps a friendly motion from the floor to adjourn the meeting to Texas or Florida, where it's firstly warmer and secondly we can meet in person. I'm going to be covering kind of the usual topics and some other ones that I think are helpful for some context perhaps. And that includes giving you an update on the 2022 insurance program changes. I'm going to talk a little bit about LawPRO's history and mandate, why LawPRO matters, talk about the impact we've seen due to the pandemic on claims, and highlight a few new resources that we're keen to let everyone know about. So first up, as usual at this year, we are partway through, or mostly through, our renewal process, having launched our new insurance program at the beginning of November, and working towards getting policies in place for more than 30,000 lawyers as of January 1 next year. By way of background, the LawPRO board reviews the insurance program each year in detail. That process starts in February by kind of looking at an ongoing list of items to be considered in terms of changes. That continues through the summer in looking at things in more detail, so that we can come up and be prepared to present an insurance program proposal at the September convocation. In the process of this review this year, we concluded that the primary program, as it currently is structured, continues to meet the needs of the profession, and we're only making very minor changes in 3 places to the wording of the policy for kind of clarity and conditions and definitions. And I think probably the news that is of more interest to most of you and most of your members, despite increasing claims volatility and an expectation that we will see claims go up in the future, the base premium will remain unchanged in 2022 at $3,000. I kind of wanted to highlight something that is very important in terms of the premium that LawPRO is able to deliver to its insureds. We essentially operate like a not-for-profit entity. We are a for-profit entity, but unlike other insurance companies, we don't operate to make an underwriting profit. And this sometimes confounds our regulators, but basically what we do is we look at the primary program claims, costs, and operating expenses that we expect. Then we look at investment income, and then we can kind of consider the premiums we expect to receive, transaction levies, the impact of discounts that we give out to a number of lawyers, and so on. And that gives us an overall cost. We then essentially create a budget. We underwrite so that we lose roughly 10% on every underwriting dollar we make, and we make up the difference and to essentially break even with investment returns, keeping in mind that we have to be careful and remain financially stable. We have a minimum preferred capital test, or MCT, that is set by our board to satisfy our regulator that there will be money available to pay expected claims when those claims are required to be paid. And that MCT range is set as a buffer to allow the company to withstand adverse scenarios, such as a sudden influx of large claims, higher than expected inflation, investment deterioration, or like three of those kinds of things that happened in the course of the pandemic happening. Our current threshold is 210 to 240% in terms of a preferred range. And by way of reference, at the end of 2020, we were at 229%. At June 30th, we were at 219%. As another point of reference, at the end of June of 2020, we were all the way down at 205% due to the impacts of the pandemic. So, and of that planning we made for adverse things happen came through and meant that we remained solvent, and that keeps our regulator happy. We'll note that the insurance industry is undergoing a complete overhaul of how its financial statements are created, the International Financial Reporting Standards, or IFRS for short. And we will have to be restating our financials and our financial reporting as of January 1, 2023. This is a crazy amount of work for us. And the goal is to have kind of universal standards around the world for how insurance company financials are reported. But it's an unbelievable amount of work for us. We are a bit concerned that we may have to change our preferred range and change our capital requirements to meet these requirements, but we're in the process of working that out right now. I want to try to give you some perspective on the value we deliver in terms of the premium. The LawPRO premium, as you can see from the graph, is significantly cheaper than it was in the distant past, in the shadow of the insurance crisis in the late 90s. And it's 10% lower than it was just a few short years ago. And if the base premium in 1995 was adjusted for inflation, it would be over $9,000 today. So I challenge you to come up with any other insurance product you buy for your practice or personally that is cheaper today, significantly cheaper than it was in the recent or distant past. And also wanted to note that a significant number of our insureds benefit from significant premium reductions. You can see it on some of the stats on the screen. Kind of new calls over their first 4 years get a reduction, and that is based on our underwriting and actuarial analysis of their claims history in their early years. They tend to do smaller matters, perhaps tend to be more careful, and they have lower claims. So we reflect that. Part-time lawyers, we've got almost 2,400 lawyers who work part-time below certain billing and hourly work thresholds. They get a 50% discount in their premium, and about 1,770 or so lawyers who restrict their practice to criminal immigration. So just right there, that's about a third of our insureds who get significant discounts on their premium. A bit of a reminder, back to basics perhaps, but kind of the history of LawPRO. LawPRO's origins as an independent regulated insurance company date back to the early 90s. And at that time, there was a real estate crash. As a result of that crash, the Law Society's insurance program found itself with more than 200 million in unfunded claims, largely as a result of losses suffered by clients where lawyers had acted as mortgage brokers on real estate deals. The Law Society convened a task force to deal with the insurance crisis, and that task force in October of '94 made some recommendations to convocation that resulted in the creation of LawPRO, and convocation gave LawPRO a clear mandate and to follow particular set of instructions in terms of its operations. That is to operate independently of the Law Society with its own board of directors. We are to operate in a commercially reasonable manner that is to make sure that the money we collect in premiums coming in covers the expenses of operating the company. As time has evolved, that means we have to be in compliance with the requirements of our regulator, the Financial Services Regulatory Authority of Ontario. We are to provide insurance at a cost that reflects risk, i.e. those with greater risk pay a higher premium. That includes, for example, our use of the transaction levy, so that someone who does 500 real estate transaction levies a year puts more into the insurance pot than somebody that does perhaps 50, and we collect between 25 and 30 million dollars of transaction levies in a given year. Also, that we settle claims fairly and quickly, but not on a no-fault basis. We are to take a principled approach in claims and not just throw money at claims to make them go away. And that's something that we follow quite closely. Why LawPRO matters. It's key that we are there as an integral part of the Law Society's public protection mandate. We are there to set clients right in the event they suffer a loss due to the negligence of their lawyers. And right now, in round numbers, we insure 30,450 lawyers who are in private practice. But also keep in mind, there's an additional 38,000 lawyers who were formerly in private practice and are now retired or have moved on to other sectors like government, in-house, non-legal, private business, et cetera, who we provide runoff coverage, either the basic free runoff coverage of 250,000 lifetime, or for those that have bought up that coverage for greater comfort in terms of potential claims that might be visited upon them after they leave practice. Give you some context. This year, we will see in round numbers, 3,000 lawyers call us up to indicate that they have a claim or potential circumstances that may lead a claim. Putting that another way, that's 12 lawyers calling us every single business day of the year. Now, they don't actually do that systematically. We tend to get lots of calls before the end of the year, before long weekends and so on, when people want to clear their minds. But in any event, of those 3,000 claims, it's a key point that ultimately only about 15% will result in an indemnity payment. That is a finding that the client suffered some compensable damages due to the negligence of their lawyer. There's also then 85% of the claims that don't require, that don't involve negligence, but many of them will require a defense. Some are settled with nothing more than LawPRO staff time. Some involve significant time and expense if there's litigation commenced, even though these are meritorious claims. And we take a principled approach. As I said, if the client suffered damages due to the negligence of their lawyer, we step up to the plate. We try to effect repairs that will reduce those damages as much as possible and pay a reasonable settlement that sets the client right. We do not pay economic settlements or nuisance claims, and we don't act as a no-fault insurer, as I said. LawPRO's benefits to the bars, but want to highlight a few of these, and many of these spring from the mandate that we were given. First of all, guaranteed availability of affordable insurance to all lawyer licensees. We have to ensure everyone. We can't say, no, you can't get insurance from us, even if you've got a bad claims record or a somewhat greater risk for claims. It means that there's consistent coverage terms and conditions for all lawyer licensees. Everybody is under the same policy, and that's a benefit to making sure there's consistent coverage for members of the public. We have proactive assistance to help prevent claims, and we step up to the plate and try to effect a repair to reduce damages in the event we get a call from a lawyer about a potential claim or danger. A coordinated approach to handling claims. I mentioned all the Practice Pro resources that we put out there. Our coordinated approach is important because it means we're shaping the legal standards of care by making reasonable settings where a lawyer truly made a mistake and defending lawyers where no error was made. Automatic free lifetime coverage of $250,000. A great built to purpose excess program that provides up to $9 million in excess to the LawPRO 1 million claim limit. And we've got about 3,800 lawyers at almost 1,600 firms on that excess program. It's a great program for those that want more than just the basic primary coverage. If you're not familiar with it, please investigate it further. We provide coverage for lawyers doing pro bono work in a very wide variety of circumstances. And we're going to be there on that rainy day when you or your members suffer a claim. Let's compare that to the environment if it was commercial insurers providing the coverage. Premiums and the availability of coverage would vary widely by firm size and area of practice, and in particular for individuals with a history of reported claims. And commercial providers could say, no, we won't insure you, with the net effect that effectively the insurance providers end up being the gatekeeper to those who are able to practice law. Coverage terms and conditions would vary widely by different companies. It would be more difficult to know if a lawyer had let their coverage lapsed or if it was canceled. A premium would likely be charged for runoff coverage. There would be potential gaps in coverage, as a new policy would be covered if you switched firms. You would also likely, if you went to a new firm, have to get a separate policy to cover claims related to work done at a previous firm. Right now, it's easy. The LawPRO policy is there throughout. That would be a very different circumstance there. Commercial providers may not provide the resources like Practice Pro, and right out of the starting block, lawyers would have to pay broker fees, adding 15% or more to the cost. So a lot of benefits that LawPRO provides. And kind of also want to emphasize this. I know sometimes people try to equate insurance as eye for an eye, an arm for an arm kind of thing. That's not how insurance works. The magic of insurance is that by contributing a bit of money to a big pot, we all help each other out by protecting our clients and ourselves. Of those 3,000 new claims reported to LawPRO each year, more than 275 of those claims will exceed 100,000 in costs. And between 5 and 15 of them will hit the 1 million limit. Some years it's 5, some years it's 15, some years it's somewhere in between. And you can see how a big impact that is on a $100 million worth of claims, which is what we handle in a given year. That's a 10 million swing either way. Needless to say, a large claim would be financial ruinous for most Ontario lawyers, and clients want to be set right. But the magic of having everybody contribute is that $1 million claim costs each Ontario lawyer in private practice, in round numbers, about $35. So that's great to have that protection in place. I know there's a lot of questions on kind of the pandemic impacts on claims and on LawPRO. Very much like the Law Society, we shifted our operations to work from home, and we're slowly putting plans in place to shift back into a hybrid environment. We've had good technology in place to support work from home at the start, and we've started and carried on with major technology overhauls of our primary claims management system. We moved to Office 365 and have made some other major technology upgrades to operate more effectively, more efficiently in the office. Relative to pre-pandemic claims, we saw a significant decline, as you might expect, through 2020, due in large part to the courts being closed and reduced economic activity. 2,768 reported claims in 2020, down from 3,121 in 2019. I think it's fair to say all indications are things are getting back to normal. Many lawyers in many areas of practice are telling us they are having their busiest years ever, and the courts are slowly reopening and moving to online hearings. For the first half of 2021, we received 718 reported claims, a count that's 26% up from the same period last year and up 12% from the same period in 2019. So definitely things are coming back around on the claims front. And remember, it takes an average of 2 to 3 years for a LawPRO claim to be reported. So that decrease in litigation activity in the summer of 2020, yes, there would be a lot of immediate mistakes that wouldn't come up because there weren't people in court, but it takes a time for things to come through the pipe, and we're now trying to figure out what that will look like in the longer term. In terms of the types of errors we saw, absolutely a reflection of remote work. We saw more clerical errors, more kind of miscommunication, inadequate in discovery of facts claims, i.e. the lawyer and the client miscommunications, misunderstandings on the issue in the matter, follow-up communications on how to respond. So we thought that was quite interesting. Claims costs for the first half of 2021 were 41.7 million, up 12% relative to the same period last year, 8% relative to the same period in 2019. We're estimating around 100 million in claims costs for 2021 and 2022. I highlight the fact that we are expecting premium increases in future years. The new accounting standards I mentioned, we think lower investment returns going forward and increasing claims cost. By way of reference, the investment income we get subsidizes your insurance premium on an annual basis, somewhere between a few hundred and several $100. So that investment income is very important to us. Lower interest rates have a significant impact there. Wanted to highlight a few new resources from Practice Pro. We transferred to providing more content online, and we've now got a number of on-demand CPD recordings on topics really focused in on risk management, claims prevention. Encourage you to go online. They are free and they apply for the LawPRO risk management credit. A number of them also qualify for Law Society CLE hours. I want to in particular mention upcoming a free CPD session on wire fraud. I've talked to hundreds of lawyers, thousands of lawyers over the years. Two of the calls that struck me most, remain with me most, are where a new call out about 8 months, she was duped on a bad check fraud to transferring about 250,000 out of her trust account that wasn't there. And a lawyer near retirement who was duped into transferring almost 300,000 out of his trust account, and again, money wasn't there. In both cases, there was no client money in the trust account. Both of them, the young lady was in tears on the phone. The older gentleman was extremely distraught. Very frustrating for us to see claims like that happen. We feel for the people going through that situation, but also frustrating because those types of claims are avoidable if people are aware of what's going on, spot the red flags. The recent flavor of check or of frauds we're seeing are the wire frauds. So here the hackers watch or hack into the client's email account or the lawyer's email account. They watch the emails and they wait till the day of closing, and they will send an email to the lawyer saying, please wire the funds to a different account, to an account that the fraudster hacker has access to. And what happens is the lawyer sees an email which appears to be coming from the client and follows those instructions. And once monies are wired, they're gone. Encourage you to tell your members about this program. These claims are very costly for LawPRO. They're easily preventable. We want to really make an effort. We're calling it the Call Before You Click campaign to avoid being duped. We've got our claims fact sheets by area of law. We also have claims fact sheets up now for the common areas of errors. Great practical examples there on situations that lead to claims. Encourage those people to refer to them, look them up, please pass them on to your members. And loads of other articles regularly being posted on Avoid a Claim. Please check that out regularly. I want to give you a teaser on some huge breaking news that we will announce next Monday, November 22nd, with respect to Title Plus, exciting new partnership that has been in the works now for about a year and a half as part of our launching the new Title Plus. We have made Title Plus a completely new and refreshed product. Our underwriting is simplified and automated on our new site. We now offer a counsel fee like our competitors do, and our platform now works on all modern browsers. And with the exciting news on Monday, we'll have our policies available, I think, to